Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I've been using the iPhone 17 Pro for about 8 months now. And it cost me a pretty penny, 256 gigabytes, almost 1,800 Canadian dollars with tax. But I mean, you've seen the cosmic orange color, right? Clearly, if anything, this phone is underpriced. I kid, but phones are getting ludicrously expensive these days, and it's only getting worse. I recently looked at the Galaxy S26 Ultra, and that phone starts at $1,900 in Canada before taxes. It is crazy, and being a longtime iPhone user, there wasn't enough to sway me over to the Samsung side, especially at that price point. Sure, the privacy display is cool, and the stylus was fun, but ultimately I didn't feel like I was missing out on much compared to my 17 Pro. Today, I want to broach the question of whether or not I think the 17 Pro was worth buying for myself, as well as whether or not it might be worth buying for you. With only about 3 to 4 months before the next iPhones come out, we're definitely at the point where you may want to hold off on buying the 17 Pro and just look to the 18 Pro or even that foldable iPhone that's apparently coming instead. But as we rush through the summer, you're going to see more and more deals for the 17 Pro, and there is a lot here that could still make it worth purchasing. Plus, as soon as those new iPhones do come out, the 17 Pro should become far more attainable on the used market, which is always a solid route to take. So without further ado, is the iPhone 17 Pro really worth it? For some quick context, I've generally bought the newest iPhone every single year with the exception of the iPhone 16 Pro in 2024, as I felt it was too similar to my 15 Pro Max. Fast forward to fall 2025, the 17 Pro is announced, bringing a fairly dramatic redesign, with an aluminum enclosure, camera plateau, and an impressive trifecta of 48 megapixel camera lenses. Now this was an iPhone that once again caught my attention, and not solely just because of the orange color, although admittedly that did help. But there was seemingly some real substance here with changes and upgrades that I did genuinely want for myself. Plus, I wanted to review the phone. That old itch to upgrade had finally returned, even if I wasn't at a point where I really needed to upgrade yet. Because my 15 Pro Max had been awesome, and looking back, I think I would have been just fine sticking with it for another year, though I was ready for a change. I went with the 6.3-inch 17 Pro, since the 6.7-inch 15 Pro Max was already a bit on the big side for me, and I thought the 6.9-inch 17 Pro Max would be a bit much. I don't regret that decision. I think 6.3 inches is about perfect for me personally, and the battery life here is somehow even better than my 15 Pro Max was, despite being significantly smaller. I absolutely love the look of this phone, and while I still stand by the assessment in my main review when it came out, that it puts function over form and that it's not really all that premium or beautiful compared to previous titanium or stainless steel Pro iPhones, I don't really mind, and I appreciate having a phone that actually looks and feels different from the many previous generations that it all felt so ubiquitous in design, going all the way back to the 12 Pro really. The fresh design is something you're not getting with the Galaxy S26 Ultra, a phone that is definitely awesome and has seen plenty of refinements, but still ultimately looks a whole lot like the rest of the Galaxy Ultra models from the past half decade. A legitimate shakeup here is nice, and it's made even better because that camera plateau offers some practical utility. Not only is the camera wobble significantly reduced, I mean just look at it compared to the S26 Ultra, but Apple is also able to cram even more internals up there, which just makes so much sense. The cameras themselves are just amazing, but we'll get to that in a bit. And the phone is just as stellar from the front, although here it does look a bit more familiar to the past few iPhones. Again, we've got that 6.3-inch display with tiny bezels and the dynamic island, which I've always loved. Apparently it's going to see a reduction in size with the 18 Pro, and that's cool, but I've got no complaints with how it's implemented here. It is also great that this display is the exact same one you'll find on the non-Pro iPhone 17, ProMotion and all. So if you're not really concerned with the extra camera lens on the back, the regular 17 is probably the better phone to go for, and I'll link my entire iPhone buying guide in the description if you're curious. The 17 Pro does of course also offer Apple's best available tech specs right now, and yeah, I mean, it's fast, as you would expect. It's really overkill for anything I might be doing, but no doubt it is completely future-proofed and unlikely to ever get slow, even with years of updates. Before we get into the meat of this, I thought I'd just mention the Techwoven case. I like it quite a lot actually, it's really nice. While I have pulled it off my phone plenty of times for the sake of B-roll, which actually has led to some minor scuffing on the corners, the case has otherwise been on 24/7, and you will want a case for this phone, as clearly the aluminum does scratch quite easily, but it's also just generally a good idea anyways. Now just as I was starting to film this video, I dropped this phone and I cracked my current screen protector. I'm Josh from 91 Tech. But you may not even need a screen protector at all, as this display is impressively scratch resistant. But I guess now I can take this one off considering it's broken anyways. Oh, my dog does not like that sound. I don't really see any scratches at all. And I was using no screen protector for about 3 months when I first got the phone. So I put one on for safety, but honestly, you might not even need to. I will say this case is showing some wear and tear already that I'm a little bit disappointed by. First off, like most cases, it tends to get dirty near the edges and stuff. I haven't cleaned this phone before filming here, so it's gonna look a little gross here, but you can see that I can kind of pick at it a little bit there. It's starting to peel, which is a little bit disappointing. We'll see how it holds up by the end of the year, I don't know. Generally though, I would say the Techwoven case is worthwhile, assuming you don't mind paying the Apple tax. These things aren't cheap, of course, but it's really nice. I like the feel in the hand, and it's my favorite iPhone case since the leather cases, so that is high praise coming from me. I really love those leather cases. 256 gigabytes is so far my biggest gripe with this phone, and that is completely on me because I'm the one who opted for that model. A few months ago though, I went on a big trip to South Korea and Japan, and there'll be plenty of photos I'll sprinkle throughout this video of my trip. And I mean plenty because I think I took like 4,000 photos or something, although to be fair, most of them were duplicates. I have the bad habit of just spamming the capture button when I take a photo. But I got to the point where I did need to upgrade my iCloud subscription because I was just taking so many. But all those photos plus 4K 60 video really fills up 256 gigabytes quite quickly, so just keep that in mind if you do get one yourself. I'm really glad I went on that trip though, because not only was it an amazing experience in general, but it also gave me a new perspective on my smartphone and how it held up. I was extremely grateful to not only have one of the best phone cameras in the world, but also such incredible battery life. I went with some friends, a couple of whom had iPhone 15s, and oh man, they were on low power mode all day and were constantly using an external battery bank as they would dip to 20% barely into the afternoon. My 17 Pro though, for the most part, was capable of handling a full day of usage, though not always, and I did end up finding myself often using low power mode as well, which kind of surprised me, at least initially. But it does make sense. The camera and Google Maps were a big drain, and even though I wasn't doing much else, as you can see from these screenshots, it was enough to suck the power up quite fast. Low power mode did make a big difference, but even then I found myself occasionally using my own power bank for peace of mind. I really hate low power mode too. It makes everything so darn slow, and sending photos over Discord or whatever, it just all chugs when that little battery icon is yellow, even on the 17 Pro. I found myself settling into a pattern of keeping low power mode on most of the time when taking photos or keeping my phone on standby, but then temporarily turning it off to send a quick message or photo. So while the 17 Pro's battery wasn't unkillable and by no means was perfect, it generally got me a day with room to spare and far and away outdid my friends' phones, at least. Especially that one friend who has an iPhone 13 mini. Oh man, that poor soul. That thing's battery is absolutely cooked. It's just terrible. It's just such a small phone. In my day-to-day life, I don't generally end up killing my phone, and I even set the charge limit to 80% typically, since I work from home most days out of the week, not every day, but most days. So this was all pretty eye-opening for me, and a good reminder of how dependent we are on our smartphone's battery. It was the only time I kind of wished I got the iPhone 17 Pro Max, as it would have been even more beastly, but I can confidently say that my 17 Pro did a pretty darn good job, and absolutely offers stellar battery life, as you would expect. The trip did push it to its limits, and I had to set the charge limit back to 100%, just so I had that extra 20% really did help every day, but I would say more often than not, it exceeded my expectations, if anything. Looking at my battery health, the cycle count is around 140 when I'm writing this, and the maximum capacity is apparently still 100%, so I don't know when that's going to end up getting lower, but it does feel pretty much exactly the same as when I got it. I don't think there's been any difference, which is definitely good. I will say it is a really nice feeling to be able to look down at your phone, see that it is under 20%, and be completely confident that you're totally fine. The battery life is probably my favorite aspect of the 17 Pro, or at least it would be were it not for the main event, the aspect that makes this phone truly pro and it sets it apart from everything else, the photography. 48 megapixel ultra-wide lens, 48 megapixel main wide lens, 48 megapixel 4x zoom telephoto lens. This phone has it all, and the ability to optically zoom in up to 8x with the telephoto sensor cropping gives a ridiculous range of versatility that I was very much appreciating throughout my 2 weeks abroad. I'm so glad I had this phone for the trip because I was able to capture some just stunning shots. And while I did take some pictures in RAW, I generally found myself just running with the default settings as it's easy and they consistently looked great. I did up the photos to be 24 megapixels though. You can do that in settings and I would recommend it. It's just nice to have them a little larger, save them as higher quality even if it takes up more space. Video as well in 4K 60 is just so darn good, and I can't recall any situation where I was unhappy with the 17 Pro's cameras. I have example after example to show you guys from the ludicrous quantity of photos I got, but it felt like no matter the situation, good lighting, bad lighting, the 17 Pro always managed to get almost the perfect image. I suppose there were some blurry results here and there, but often it was a consequence of my own carelessness and or bad habit of snapping photos while walking. And we did a lot of walking. I think I averaged about 25,000 steps per day, and it just felt like anywhere I turned, I had to snap another photo. Seriously, I have so many pictures I could show in this video that I'm just not going to, but still. Mount Fuji, that was a big highlight for me. I mean, just look at these photos. They're probably some of the best I took. My favorite lens actually ended up being the 4X telephoto before too long. I love the look and the way it captures photos. There's no wide-angle distortion, and some of these pictures just have such a cool vibe to them. It was also great for getting pictures from afar, especially since often it wasn't really feasible for me to get physically closer, or at least it would have been very inconvenient. Sadly, this trip was in February, shortly before cherry blossom season, but I did get a few photos of some trees budding early, so that's neat. Again though, versatility. What you're getting with the 17 Pro is a phone capable of capturing ideal photos in basically any scenario. Sometimes ultra wide is perfect, sometimes the main wide is preferable. Many times I found myself turning to that telephoto. They were all so good, all so consistent. I didn't have to avoid using one lens over any other like I have with past iPhones. On my 15 Pro, I would generally gravitate towards using the main wide lens, but here I didn't feel the need to do that so much because they're all so stellar. The ultra wide was probably my least used, and I do prefer like the photos from the main wide lens or the telephoto over the ultra wide pictures, but again, that ultra wide was still so good that it was never at all a bother when I did opt for it. And of course, it made the most sense for a lot of the city or the landscape shots. And then there's the selfie camera, which saw a big upgrade, 18 megapixel photos, and you could do cool things like take more horizontal oriented photos while holding the camera vertically, stuff like that. Really convenient for group shots with friends, so I got some good use out of that as well. Huge upgrade from previous iPhones in my opinion. For me, the cameras were never really the reason I bought this phone. I mean, it was part of the reason, and I was looking forward to them, but battery life was definitely one of the biggest factors for me. I'm hitting you. Yeah, you're in the way. And that fun new design of course grabs me probably more than anything else, honestly. I love the orange, it's crazy. In spite of this, the cameras ended up being probably the best part of the 17 Pro for me. And while sure, recent Pro iPhones like my 15 Pro Max would have also done great, and even my friends got plenty of awesome shots on their iPhone 15s, it all still boils down to that versatility. My 17 Pro was capable of getting photos my friends simply couldn't get with those phones. And I've also just never properly appreciated how great smartphone photography has truly gotten until this experience. So while I had expected to rank the battery life as the most important aspect of the 17 Pro for me, 8 months later, I can honestly say the camera has taken that crown. I mean, outside of the beautiful orange color, of course. So our goal with this video was to answer two big questions. Number one, was this phone worth buying for myself? Well, I think it's probably clear, but yes, it absolutely was. Not only did I have the opportunity to bring it traveling on an amazing trip that I had been wanting to do for years, using it to the fullest with the photography and impressive battery performance, but it's also just been a fantastic and reliable smartphone for my day-to-day life and everything else I've been up to for the past 8 months. It's an amazing feeling to have such confidence in every aspect of your smartphone, to be able to pull it out anytime knowing that it's gonna get the job done whatever the task might be, that it's still gonna have some battery life remaining, that you can snap a photo anywhere. Even simple stuff like sending a text message, it's fast and reliable, maybe a little less so when it's in low power mode, but even then it still typically worked just fine. I have very few complaints, outside of the fact that the phone is so expensive and it's always a bit difficult to justify such a big purchase, even if it did make sense for myself and my business. I didn't need to upgrade from the 15 Pro Max yet, but I'm glad I did, and the 18 Pro will probably be a hard sell for me come this fall. But then there's question number two. Would the iPhone 17 Pro be worth buying for you? Now this is much harder for me to answer. If everything we've discussed today appeals to you, if you like the cameras and want the great battery life, if you're on a phone that's feeling its age and you need to upgrade, or at least want to and can afford it, I mean clearly this is a great phone and thus it's going to be worth buying, but only for the right price. Apple in about 4 months, as of me making this video, will be unveiling and releasing their iPhone 18 Pro and foldable iPhone. And these devices will be even better. and it might be more worth waiting just a bit longer for those to come along. Unless of course you're seeing a really good deal for the 17 Pro, which is more and more likely to pop up as we approach the fall. And then there's always the used market, which will see a large influx of 17 Pros once the new iPhones are announced, with prices generally dropping fairly quickly. Odds are the 18 Pro isn't going to be a whole lot better or different from this phone. Just like the 16 Pro, even without the camera plateau redesign, isn't actually much worse. That phone, or the 15 Pro, which I did a recent review on, is also worth looking at if you're willing to buy used and want to save some cash. On the whole though, assuming you are not paying full price, I do absolutely think the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max are worth purchasing. The regular iPhone 17 is the best value iPhone Apple sells right now, to be sure, but the 17 Pro is the best iPhone period. And even if it won't hold that title 4 months from now, that doesn't really make it any less awesome. Just again, try to get it on discount. If you can only find it full price, I think the smarter move would be to just wait until September. And so with that, I think we're right about done here. Do any of you own the iPhone 17 Pro or are thinking about getting one? How do you feel about the phone? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tech content. I've been a little more experimental with my videos lately, trying to see what works with the algorithm, but I think for sure a balance of kind of more abstract or fun sorts of content plus regular reviews, probably the way to go moving forward, but I've been having fun, so hopefully you are too. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Josh from 91 Tech. This is Cola from 91 Tech as well, as it so happens, and we will see you all next time.